I'm in the big leagues, told them don't miss me. Ballin' like Houston, ayy, feeling like Whitney. I need a bag, bruh, send it through quickly. I'm making his dog, like I'm in the big leagues. Told him that I gotta go, dog. I'm riding the road, y'all. I think that I'm back in my bag now.
Welcome to Gamblers Table Talk with Ace. I'm Ace. Let's get into it. This week, we had week 2 of the USFL training camp. And at the end of that week, we had 2 days of scrimmages. Now, the first day in Memphis was canceled because of the worst tornado that has come through in 11 years, which was a bummer. But the next day was beautiful, and we got to see the scrimmage between the Gamblers and the Birmingham Stallions, who visited Memphis just for this scrimmage. Now, I was lucky enough to be able to go there, see a little bit of media day, get behind the scenes a little bit. Great time. And then the next day, I was able to go and cover the scrimmage in person. I had a nice camera with me. I made sure and I got tons of photos for all the players. And yeah, it was a great time. And there was a lot to take away. But I'm going to try and hit some key points. And let's do that. But first, what we have to talk about is the sad news. So let's get the sad news out of the way. After the scrimmage, the next day, April 2nd, was the first round of cuts to cut from 58 to 54 on the official active roster. We saw 3 players cut because our active roster was at 57. Wide receiver JoJo Ward out of Hawaii, linebacker Brandon Payer out of Colorado State University or Colorado State Pueblo, and defensive tackle Corey Thomas, who was with the team last year. You don't like to see any of these players go. It's never fun when players get cut, but JoJo was injured most of the season last season. They brought in Justin Hall. He's a true special teams return specialist, and slot receiver. So with him, you don't need JoJo as much. And with the roster size, you got to cut where you can. Brandon Payer, he struggled with some injury during camp. He was limited at the scrimmage, and it just kind of makes sense. I absolutely love Brandon. He's been on the show. He's a friend of the show, a great guy, and I can't wait to see what's next for him. And I'll be a fan wherever he goes. And then Corey Thomas, that one hurts. He was on the team last season. He's a great guy. He's a great personality to have in a locker room, incredibly positive, and he's all about the team. So the fact that they cut him, while it is unfortunate, it says a lot about the depth of the defensive line, which is something that I'll get into now that we are moving into the scrimmage. All right, so quarterbacks. I know everybody wants to talk about quarterbacks. That's why I talked about it last episode. I'm going to talk about it this episode. Kenji Bahar looked good. He really has a good control of the offense. You can tell that he knows it well. He's learned it quick. And I'm going to show off this nice picture I got and edited of him because it looks really cool. So enjoy that. I posted it. You can go download it if you want it. It was great. He looked good. He looked smooth. And while maybe he's not the most accurate quarterback in the league, some receivers that we'll talk about later make that more of a moot point. But quarterback number 2, Terry Wilson. Terry was at media day, but he ended up missing the scrimmage because he got a call from his beautiful girl saying that they were going to induce labor. So he jumped in his car, drove 6 hours home to Oklahoma City, and made sure that he was there the next morning to witness the birth of his second child. We're absolutely a huge fan of Terry Wilson on this show. He's been on the show. He's a great guy. I got the chance to say hi to him and meet him up there. And it says a lot about a player that they're willing to miss the scrimmage. They're going to go drive 6 hours straight late at night just so that they can be there for the birth of their child. It says a lot about him. It's a character move. And that's the kind of guys that Coach Bob really pulled in on this team. And while, you want to go for the best player, it looks like he also spent a lot of time looking at character. And that's something that we absolutely appreciate on this show. So Terry, Kristen, absolutely, absolutely congratulations. So happy for you guys. But because Terry was not there, that meant that Montel Cozart got to have a lot of play time. So instead of, 33%, 33%, 33% for the 3 quarterbacks, they're all competing for QB1, week 1. Terry was not there. So Montel got a lot more play time than he probably would have if Terry was there. He looked pretty good. You could tell that his confidence was building throughout the scrimmage. He had one fumbled snap early on, but he was able to get over it. It didn't seem to mess with his confidence. He looks good. He looks incredibly mobile. And I think he's incredibly valuable player on this team. And if, maybe Kenji or Terry makes the start, if they go down, I wouldn't feel that bad if Montel went in. I think that we're still covered. So that was great to see. Moving on, talking about some inaccuracies and stuff, Kiki Chisholm. This is absolutely the number one player out of the scrimmage that you should be watching. We lost Isaiah Zuber last year at the wide receiver position. This guy comes in and he might be a bigger deep threat. Coach Bob described him as everything you look at for an NFL wide receiver. He's all those things. He's just half a step too slow. So in a spring league like this, that's the chance to go and blossom, blow up. He was in there. I don't know if it was the ones. I don't know. I was focusing on pictures a lot, but he was returning balls on kickoff, on punt. He went up and he made some great plays like this one right here. They only ran some red zone plays. They, did offensive plays from the 40. Then the Stallions did offensive plays from the 40. Special teams. They were just making sure it was equal plays for everybody. And then they did red zone and Kiki shined. That dude made money. He is the name to watch. So make sure you're watching him. Then in practice the next day, he went and made this incredible catch. Both of these, you can go see these videos on the Gamblers' social media. These are not my videos. I was doing pictures. All the pictures that you see here, other than the one of Terry and his baby, I took. The videos I took from the Gamblers' social media, but I'm giving them a shout out. I do not own those videos. I just love them. So these videos, Kiki, he's going to be a deep threat specialist. He's got everything you look for, everything you want in an NFL wide receiver, and he looks good. The second wide receiver to talk about that is just going to make catches so much easier. It's going to make life easier for Kenji, Terry, Montel, whoever ends up starting. They don't have to be as accurate, and they can focus on if it's there, take the shot. If it's not, use your legs, which is exactly the mindset that you should have in a spring league. Tio, he was here year one. He kind of was lost in the shuffle for the first half of the season, but when he got his chance, he came in and he made incredible catches. He then comes in this week and he makes this catch in practice today. And Coach Bob went and he retweeted it because they said, Tio, what is that? And he said, it's the same thing he's doing every day in practice. And I absolutely believe it. Tio Redding is another name to watch. Those are two receivers that could blow up, including Justin Hall, who did not play in the scrimmage because who knows, maybe they just didn't want to risk getting him hurt. But those are three receivers that I say to absolutely watch. Also, Anthony Ratliff-Williams, you should have already known to watch him, but he had an NFL caliber catch at the beginning of this scrimmage. It looked fantastic. It was a little behind him, diving catch. So good. So we also saw the Stallions while we were there, or I was there. I wasn't with anybody, but this pass right here went over the receiver's head. That's kind of what a lot of them were looking like. You can tell, it was the first time not playing in Protective Stadium or their practice field. They came out first time going, full game speed. They weren't actually tackling, but it's still different. And you could tell they were still settling in. This was a pass throw by Jamar. Most of them kind of looked like that. He was throwing a little bit high. You could tell he was still a little nervous. I can't talk that much smack about Jamar. I just interviewed the guy. He's super humble. He's a great dude, and I'm sure that it'll settle down by week one. But if I had to say who won the scrimmage, I'm going to say the Houston Gamblers. They had a fumble recovery for a touchdown. They had an interception. They had the red zone touchdown. They just looked more poised. And of all the games this weekend, I think this game was the smoothest, scrimmage was the smoothest running. So just good things all around. It really makes you believe. So the biggest takeaways are going to be the quarterbacks look good. The receivers are going to make up for any inaccuracy. And the other things I would say is that the O-line, while not being as big as the Stallions O-line, who is ginormous, they look smart. They look prepared, and they look like they understand this offense. Being able to understand the offense and having a disciplined offensive line going into week one is crucial to be able to win games. It is so hard to win games in a spring football league if you cannot protect the quarterback for at least 3 seconds. So they look like they can do that. They were making holes in the run game. I don't know what they were averaging, but it was at least 4 yards a run. There's a lot of good things. There's a lot of good things for this team. They look like a different team from last year. I posted the pictures I took, and I said, while some faces are the same, There's a bright future for this team, and I absolutely mean that. This is a different team. Most of the coaching staff is different. Other than the GM, Coach Bob, and Andy Townsend, the O-line coach, all the other coaches are new, and they have bought in. Their hashtag all in, and I'm just excited. I am excited about this team. There's a lot to be excited about. The defense looks great. I think they're going to be just as good as last year. Dayan Lake, I'm not totally sure how to say his name. Number 25, that's a name to watch. He had a fantastic pass breakup. There's a lot of good things. The defensive line, super deep. Like I said, Corey Thomas, the fact that they were willing to cut him means that they are incredibly deep. So a lot of good things to take away from this. It was great being out there. Memphis, it's a beautiful stadium. I will say, if you're going to travel to Memphis to see a game, just make sure you do your due diligence. Look at your hotel. Make sure you know where it is, what's around it. Just be safe when you're out there. Memphis, like any city, has its bad parts. So just make sure that you do your due diligence. But I highly recommend going out there, seeing a game, seeing the Gamblers in this beautiful stadium. It is huge, and that day it was gorgeous outside. So only good things to say. Well, this has been a good one. I hope you guys enjoy it. See you next time.
I'm in the big leagues, so they don't miss me. Ballin' like Htown, ayy, feeling like Whitney. I need a bag, bruh, send it through quickly. I'm making his dog.